Welcome back to Tranquility du Jour, nourishing conversations about living a full and meaningful life with doses of tranquility. I'm your host, Kimberly Wilson, bringing you tranquility through this podcast since 2005. Today, I wanted to talk a bit about my goal process and my Q4 goals, and just kind of share a bit on how I go through this process, how I set them up, how I track them, with ultimately the hope that the majority of them will actually happen. So I'm really excited to share this podcast with you because I know many of you are also goal setters and like celebrating and bringing your dreams to fruition. So before I dive in, I wanted to mention a few things. First of all, thank you for your feedback regarding the Life Lately podcast. I heard from quite a few of you, and it means a lot to me. So thank you for reaching out and also letting me know how it resonated. A few people were like, I just wanted to give you a big hug. So anyway, I appreciate that. Virtual hugs always accepted, and most grateful for your support. And also, if you have a moment to hit the subscribe button in your favorite podcast app, please do so you don't miss an episode of Tranquility du Jour. And if you're new, a gentle reminder that you can find all you need to join the Tranquility du Jour community. There is a link in the show notes at kimberlywilson.com/565. And also you can just go to /new and you'll find everything there from the manifesto to the 5 tenets that drive Tranquility du Jour, etc. Also, if you missed the fall TDJ Live replay, there's a link to that in the show notes. Also to the TDJ Style pop-up replay, in case you missed that. And if anyone is wanting the fall virtual retreat replay, reach out to me and I can send you a link to purchase that. And finally, this is very exciting that a new annual program is going to be launching later this month, and I have a lot of really exciting things up my sleeve for it. And I can't wait to share them with you. And if you would like to be the first to know after the current group, of course, then hit the link in the podcast show notes for the Passholder Collective. I'll just kind of change it to actually annual program and join the waitlist. And then you will be among the first to know when it goes live and, to claim your spot. I think it's going to be a really delightful experience. We've had such an amazing, amazing group this year. And here's what the lovely Betsy had to say about her experience in this year's collective. The program was thoughtfully organized and easy to follow. The replays were great when I had a conflict. While the program was virtual, I felt connected through her weekly inspiring posts, quarterly checkups, and online community. Her bonus material was super fun. Kimberly is a brilliant teacher of mindfulness, incorporating play in your life, and finding life balance. Over the past several years, I've attended various Kimberly events and observed her personal growth. She chooses to live her values, which is inspiring, has given me courage to make some significant life transition, resulting in greater personal contentment. I'm grateful for such a nurturing teacher. That is so thoughtful. I really appreciate that. And here's from one other person, the lovely Thomasina. She said that the experience was a tremendous investment in her self-care journey. All the activities promoted her emotional and health well-being. She discovered new strategies in the weekly practices and regained her creativity during the process, which makes me so happy to hear. Thank you, Thomasina. All right, so would love to have you guys with me. And again, you can join the waitlist for this over at kimberlywilson.com. At the very top of the website, you will see information on it, and or just head on over to the show notes and you will find it there. So let's chat quarterly goals. So first of all, happy November. Welcome to a brand new month. Each month I like to pin my dreams for that month and, really thinking about okay, what is it I want to bring forth this month, from the obvious things such as 4 podcasts, right? To maybe read 2 books, launch this new program, daily ballet classes, daily greens, things along those lines, right? So that's kind of my monthly ones that I do. And then at the end of the month, I like to go through and check them off, or sometimes I check them off as I do them because I'm so happy to check things off. I don't know if you two can relate, but so for you, if it's helpful thinking about, okay, what do I want to bring forth in November? Maybe prepare my very first holiday meal, Thanksgiving meal, or, host my first Thanksgiving dinner or lunch, or, volunteer at a soup kitchen. I mean, whatever it might be that just feels like, okay, these are November specific goals. So I love to do that. But the other thing I really like to do is quarterly goals. And what's so crazy is I just did my Q4 goals, even though we're 1 month through it, this weekend. And so what I do, this is my process for it, and I really love it, is I have an Evernote file, right? And so I'll go in, and I've got one, it's just called 2021. And then I do my overall 2021 goals, but then I break it down by quarters. So in front of me, I've got my Q1, 2, and 3, and 4 goals. And then I do a little checkbox next to it so I can go through and check it. So I'll give an example of some of my Q3 goals and how those unfolded. One was read 12 books. No. Sadly, I don't know that I read, maybe June through August. I probably read like maybe 4 or 5, right? But at this point, I'm quite behind on my overarching reading goal, which makes me quite sad. I had monthly Tea with Kay videos. I put out a couple of them, and I'm waiting for Tim to produce the others that I recorded in July. So hopefully those will be out in November, December. Seeing a certain amount of clients per week, which I did. Enhancing memoir draft, I did. Completing online courses that I've signed up for, I did not. Progress toward kitchen and bathroom renovation. Yes, we're in the stages of that, and I'll be sure to share a mood board over on the blog soon. I'm very excited. As some of you know, I live in a tiny space, 600 square feet, and I've lived there for 17 years. And so the place was redone in the 80s, so all of my stuff is very 80s-rific. And so the kitchen and bathroom, even though they're tiny, tiny spaces, just need some upgrading. And so it's very, very girly. So I can't wait to show you kind of the look for that, and that'll probably happen in early 2022. Complete my new office setup, done. Get photos of my new office, done. Get my Virginia therapy license, done. Hip and shoulder cortisone shots, done. Mammogram follow-up. Let's see, create capsule wardrobe materials, done. Daily ballet or yoga, mostly, almost. Regular planks to develop core strength. I don't think I did one, sadly. Fun shoots and time in Paris, done. And then apply to global entry, done. And I got through that process, and I have my little card. So next time I return from being abroad to the US, then I can go right through this very quick line, which is very exciting. So Q4, so once I kind of went through that and was like, check, 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 check. Ooh, forgot about that one. Check, 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 check. Didn't do this one. It was helpful to kind of pull together what is relevant from those to pull down into Q4, and then what needs to be added, right? So what I have on my list for Q4 is really specific to kind of where I am obviously right now. And again, we are 1 month into Q4. So this is what I hope to accomplish in the next 2 months, and also kind of keeping in mind what was accomplished in October. So finalizing and launching my new annual program. Continue progress on my memoir draft. So I continue to work with my writing teacher, Jamie Cat-Callan, who is amazing. And I'm definitely trying to devote more time and attention to this. Daily ballet, pretty much done so far. Monthly Tea with Kay videos. So I have here that I have 2 left over from my July recording that I hope to get out shortly. New promos for my online orders. So just little goodies, that go in with online orders, from the little TDJ sticker to postcards, things along those lines. I want to do some updated sort of promos to go in with your online orders. Regular planks, which you may recall from my earlier quarter, and pirouettes. Pirouettes are so freaking challenging. Some days I nail them, and most other days I wobble around like a weeble wobble. And the more I try, the worse I get in that particular session. It's so crazy. So anyway, I would like a little more consistency, shall we say, in this experience. So that is definitely one of my goals. Progress toward point shoes. So I got my point shoes, late summer, and I've practiced in them a few times with my private teacher, who I adore, and I need to do that regularly, right? Not just like here and there. So I want to make progress toward actually working more on point. I also want to complete an online book proposal e-course that I had signed up for, my goodness, I think early 2021. And so I want to get through that because I want to work on my book proposal. My new goal is to have that to my agent by May 1st. Fingers crossed, we will see. Also to learn Lilac Fairy. So this is from Sleeping Beauty. And this is some choreography my private teacher pulled together for me for that performance that I may have mentioned that I'm going to do in the end of June down in Miami, which I will definitely keep you guys posted on it. Very excited. But so far, I have a long way to go in learning my 2-minute solo performance. Seeing my clients, of course, each week, taking the December 24th through January 2nd off. Releasing 12 podcasts. So I've already done 4. This is my 5th one. And then adding a capsule video that I recorded after the pop-up, adding that to the website. And I had a few others that I had come up with over the weekend, but I just earlier today moved them into a 2022 box. Like I want to create some micro courses for you all. Just small things like, starting your mindfulness practice, designing a morning routine that works for you, like some very simple nugget size courses. And I was like, I'm not going to get this done this year because I'm going to be focusing on this annual program and tying everything into a bow for it. So that's just not going to happen, right? So I pushed it into 2022, I'd say Q1, revamping the welcome series so that when people join my mailing list, I want to revamp that. And then I want to create a new downloadable that you get when you sign up for the newsletter. And so that, and that just takes a bit more a strategy, right? I just have to really think about what do I want people to want? What gives them a good taste of Tranquility du Jour? What actually is practical and helpful and useful for them? So that is what I'm thinking about, that I'm like, okay, I need to move that to 2022. All right, now what do I do with this? So what I do with this is from my, quarterly goals, I send them to a girlfriend. We have been doing this for 10 plus years, and we share our quarterly goals and then how we did with them, right? So it's just regular updates, which is really nice and helpful, and there's a sense of accountability. And what's funny is I saw apply for global entry on hers from last quarter, and I was like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to do that. So I did it and got mine this past quarter. And so, sometimes it's really helpful as gentle reminders of like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to schedule my mammogram or whatever, and you see that on your friends. So it can be helpful to have an accountability buddy. And then the other thing I do is, of course, I move these, like the daily ballet. Okay, that's daily. So that's going to be throughout these next 2 months. So I put that in my November dreams, right? And then this Learn Lilac Fairy, I'm going to put that into my November dreams. Release 4 podcasts, put that into my November dreams. Release one Tea with K video, progress on my memoir draft. So I'm going to think, okay, I want to really try to tie a bow around, really kind of crystallize one 3-year stint, because we figured out there's about 20 some odd years kind of covered in what I'm thinking of from memoir, from 1996 when I lived in Colorado and took my first yoga class up until when I sold the studio. And so if we kind of break these out with the whole hope of kind of having a book proposal to my agent in May, looks like I need to do about 3-ish years every month until then. Anyway, way more detail than you probably needed, but just thinking about, okay, how do I know I'm making progress on my memoir draft, right? So I have to really break that down. Learning Lilac Fairy, if I can just get like the basic footwork, then that would be really, really great. So, what I'm going to actually do now that I am even on this with you is I'm going to write a dash, November footwork, right? So that I'm like, okay, that is where I'm going to focus for November with regard to that. And then progress toward point shoes. I just made an appointment to meet with my podiatrist to have a couple of issues in my feet addressed. And, my hope is to just kind of like start practicing with some online videos until I can get into a course. And, again, very, very small, basic, because I'm actually scared of them. As a child, I wasn't scared of them. Of course, you're like, oh, I can do anything. But as an adult, I'm like, I have weak ankles. I don't want to hurt myself because then I will be out of Lilac Fairy, or I'll have to hobble around, or I won't be able to do ballet for a while. So, just little things like that, how we become a bit more nervous, right, about our various joints. And the other piece, I'm trying to think what else is on here. So the book proposal e-course. Then, what I need to do, sorry, that's my little kitty shaking in the background, my Halloween kitty, all black. What I need to do is then look at, okay, where do I have some open space, maybe one weekend where I can be like, okay, I'm going to knock out 4 modules from this online course, right? Something along those lines where I get really specific. And I do think that most of these are doable. But you know what I'm also going to add is like read 5 books, because I'm just so behind and I'm so disappointed. And it's not because like, I have to, it's important that I achieve this goal. It's like, no, it's important that I'm reading because I love books. I accumulate books and I need to consume the books. And, Tim and I have gotten into the habit of like, it's later in the evening, let's watch a documentary, right? Or something along those lines. Last night, by the way, we watched Val, which is all about Val Kilmer and, his cancer and losing his voice. It's a really beautifully done film. It's great, but I'm like, I could use those 2 hours to read also. So I need to get more discriminating, right, about my use of time and energy and all that great stuff. So that's kind of how I look at my goals, right? So I start with my monthly ones because those are ones I'm just like always, that's just, I do this at the beginning of every month. But then I also, at the beginning of every quarter, which like I said, I'm a month behind this time, which is not normal. But what I'll do is I'm like, okay, by the end of this season, what is it I want to have done? What do I want to have completed? What do I want to have made progress on? And then I write it out, because if I just keep it in my head, that's not going to push me forward, right? So I write it all out. I write it in my Evernote file. I send it to a friend. And it would probably be helpful actually to get these also into my Daybook. But what I find is just going back and referring to them, ideally monthly. Maybe when I look at my monthly goals, going back and referring to my Q whatever goal, Q1, 2, 3, 4, would probably be helpful. Because then as I was looking at my 2021 goals, I was like, wow, there's a lot here that I had forgotten about, right? And so I want to make sure that I'm going back in and kind of regularly reviewing these to make sure that I am making progress to at least the things that felt important to me at the beginning of the year. And if they're not, then I can mark them out, strike them out. So that's my process. And, tips are really like write it all down, review it regularly. As you set your week's most important tasks, look at what are your monthly goals? What are your quarterly goals? How can you fit them in? Look for where you've got some big chunks of open space for your bigger projects. And, they always say that our most creative time is in the morning. So if you can carve out some space in the morning, one of the things my writing coach and I did last week is we went through and I was like, okay, Friday mornings, like I'm typically open. That's my more creative day. I don't usually see clients. And so what I did is I went through and I just blocked out big chunks on Friday morning from now until the end of the year. And the hope is that I will spend that time with my memoir writing. Because otherwise what happens, these things that are so important to us, they get pushed off because our energy level isn't there or we're not in the mood or the space for it. And I just want to make sure these things stay top of mind. All right, so that is my process. I hope it's helpful, right, as you think about your own and how to bring your bigger picture dreams to life. And then just a few final reminders is, if you haven't signed up for my love notes, please do so. I'm going to send one out this week. It gives you invites, inspiration. It'll let you know about kind of upcoming programs and events. There's a link also to my 6 books and planner. If you are starting to plan 2022, I actually just pulled out a fresh Daybook, and I'm going to go through and get the dates in. I cannot believe, but it is time to start kind of putting those in, for ballet performances that I've signed up to attend, to go and consume. I want to get those in my planner, and I've got some trainings and, things along those lines. I want to make sure that I get those into my planner. Because right now I just kind of have them at the last week in December with the dates so that I can make sure to put them into the new planner. But it's nice. It's kind of crazy though now because we need to be carrying around 2, but then we just make sure, right, that we have everything we need at our fingertips in our planners. So there's a link to my 6 books and planners, ways to find me online, mainly Instagram and YouTube, fading out of Facebook. And then if you have a moment to share a review on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, or Goodreads for any of the books, would be so, so grateful. I really appreciate your support. And again, thank you so much for reaching out after the Life Lately podcast. It means a lot to me. And I wish you a wonderful week ahead and a delicious, delightful November.